No money for renovations? No problem. Let me introduce you to the FHA 203K rehab loan. It allows you to roll the money for the renovations and the purchase price into one loan and still only put down the 3.5% required by the FHA. In some scenarios, they even assign a guy to you to make sure the repairs or the renovations go swimmingly. This is why it's often called the rehab loan on training wheels. Is this too good to be true? I'll let you be the judge in this episode. Today we're going to talk about the FHA 203K rehab loan, what the max repairs are. We're going to walk you through the process. We're going to cover the two different types of loans, what you can use it for, what you can't use it for. And I'm going to tell you two stories of clients of mine that have gone through the process, one good, one bad, so you have both sides of the coin. If this is your first time hearing the sound of my voice, my name is David. I have a background in mortgage, underwriting, mortgage, lending, and as a realtor. So yes, that is the entire home buying process. I purchased multiple homes myself, but most importantly, I've helped hundreds of people just like you buy their first home in real life. Let's go get those keys. Welcome back to House Rich, the first time home buyer show where we provide you actionable steps in layman terms to buy your first home. Let's jump right into this 203K loan by going to HUD.gov and seeing what they have to say for themselves. Section 203K fills a unique and important need for homebuyers. When buying a house that needs repairs or modernization, homebuyers usually have to follow a complicated and costly process. The interim acquisition and improvement loans often have relatively high rates, short payment terms, and balloon payments. They're talking about like those hard money loans you see everybody pushing online that probably has never used a hard money loan, never done these burrs and all this stuff they're talking about, etc. Back to the HUD.gov. However, Section 203K offers a solution that helps both borrowers and lenders ensure a single, long-term, fixed, or adjustable rate loan that covers both the acquisition and rehabilitation of the property. Sounds good so far? Let's jump into the guidelines. Now, the guidelines fall in line for the most part with the 2024 FHA loan guidelines with a few changes, which is what we're going to talk about in this episode. First, the credit. Now, 580 is still the minimum credit requirement, but lenders are going to want to see a 620 plus credit score, which if you think about it makes sense because this is a riskier loan than a normal FHA loan because you're buying a property plus renovating the property. So 620 plus is what you can expect from lenders. Another requirement is the property has to be at least 1 year old. Because once again, like, why do you need to rehab a property that is like brand new? It's probably a crappy property to begin with. And so their thing is we're not trying to fix crappy properties. We're renovating old properties to put new inventory back on the market. Still the same 3.5% down, but let's talk about how the loan actually works by going over the loan limits. So as I mentioned, the loan limits are the exact same for an FHA loan as they are for an FHA 203K loan. But of course, the big difference being that you can take the purchase price plus the rehab cost and combine them into one loan. So that is the max loan limit we're looking at. So for example, on a one unit property, the max loan limit is $498,275. Now, let's say you're buying a home that is $400,000. You can have up to $98,275 in repairs to get up to that loan limit. And hopefully when it's all said and done, the property is worth like $550, $575, because that's the whole point of you doing the repairs is to get some instant equity in the property. However, there's also a caveat to the FHA 203K loan that allows you to go up to a 110% loan to value ratio. So to make the numbers super simple, I'll give you this scenario. Let's say you're buying a home that is $50,000 and there are obviously some issues with the property because it's only $50,000. And let's say you're doing stuff that doesn't really bring value to the property, but needs to be fixed, like pipes and things of that nature. And so there's like $60,000 of repairs to get the property up to living condition. So when it's all said and done, because you did some renovations that didn't really add value, the property is worth $100,000. In most scenarios, you can only go up to $100,000 because that's what the property is worth. However, with the FHA 203K loan, you could do the old 60K in repairs because you can finance up to 110% of the home's after repair value. And you may be thinking, well, I have this bad property that needs all these renovations. Like, do I stay in the house while it's being renovated? Like, what in the world do I do? Well, another caveat of the 203K loan is you can finance up to 6 months of mortgage payments into the loan amount. So, for instance, let's say that your mortgage is going to be only $1,000. Congrats to you for finding a home like that. Well, you can finance up to $6,000 into the price of the loan, like the total loan amount. And so that money goes into a kitty and then it's paid by the lender every month in order to pay your mortgage so that you can maybe, live with your parents or in an apartment somewhere while the home is being renovated because it may not be habitable at that time. And also that 6 months is the max length that it should take for the repairs. Asterisk should take. I'm a realtor in Dallas and would love to help you reach your goals of home ownership. So click the link in the description and just schedule a call no matter where you are on your journey. Not in Dallas? No worries, I can help connect you with a vetted realtor in your local jurisdiction as well. And feel free to share with friends, family, and foes. Everyone gets love. And I say should because I have a friend that was going through the 203K loan process. I actually interviewed them on episodes somewhere between like 2 and 6 of this very podcast. And his renovations took more than 6 months. And it was no fault of his own, no fault of the contractor. The repairs just took a little bit longer. So he was able to actually extend the period out to almost out to a year when we were speaking during the time of the podcast. And one very cool caveat for him as well is, as you know, with an FHA loan, you have to stay in the property for at least 1 year before you can sell the property. But that clock starts once the loan documents are signed. So in his scenario, because his renovation took over a year and the clock started when he signed the papers, technically he never even had to move into the property. Now, he did move into the property because that was his goal with him and his wife to live in the property. But hey, just to note that that clock starts when you sign, not when you actually move into the property for those repairs. So for you folks that really want to build your portfolio quickly, look at this scenario. Let's say you just signed a lease for an apartment. You have 12 months to go. You can start your home buying process now because it may take about 1 to 2 months to find a property. We'll talk about the actual process. It takes about 60 to 90 days to close. And let's say your renovation costs are going to take like 4 to 6 months anyway. So by the time this whole process is over, you're probably ready to move out that apartment in like 3 months. But you've already started the 1 year clock on having to reside in your FHA property for a year. So now once you move into the property, you may only have like 6 to 7 months to stay in that property before you can sell the property, rent it, and then start the process over again. All 100% legal. That's really how you run the play, as folks like to say online, legally. Now, there are 2 versions of the 203K rehab loan. There's the limited, also known as the streamline, and the standard. There's 3 major differences between the 2. First, with the limited, your renovations can only go up to $35,000. 2, it does not require a HUD consultant. I'll get into what that is in a second. And 3, you can only do like cosmetic and functional stuff. You can't do any structural repairs such as like roof, foundation, and things of that nature. But you can still do a whole lot, such as like gutters, spouts, HVACs, lead-based paint, asbestos repairs, basement refinishing, remodeling, septic tank stuff, flooring, kitchen, bathroom updates, painting, etc. Now with the 203K standard, you can do things such as structural issues with the property, foundation, etc. Here's another important structural aspect of the standard loan is it allows you to put offers in on homes that you normally would not be able to. So when you think about using a conventional loan, a normal FHA loan, there are certain showstoppers such as like foundation, roof, which have to be prepared before the lender will fund, which means those deals don't get done because you're obviously or should not be paying the seller to fix the foundation before you close on the loan. You probably don't have the money even if you wanted to. And then the seller is not going to fix it before they sell the property as well. So like those type of deals are usually exclusive for the land of the cash offer person, and which means from a seller's perspective, the buyer's pool is smaller. So sometimes they can get like lowball. So now you come in with your finance offer to give them actual value or maybe a little bit less and are able to potentially win the deal. Another thing is we're talking about structural changes. You can add units onto the property. So as long as the area is zoned for like multifamily use, or that lot is zoned for multifamily use, you can turn a 1 unit into a 2, 3, or 4 unit, or 2 unit into like a 3 unit. So that's another way to bring value to the property that you can do with the standard loan. Now, there's some things you can't do with the property, such as like adding fire pits, gazebos, things of that nature, things that are like cool to look at but don't necessarily bring value and are also movable. So you're thinking there's something that you can add to the property that you can take with you. It is not allowed to be on the list. Now, I mentioned with the limited, the max amount is 35K. However, with the standard, you don't have to start at 35K, but the minimum is 5K. So let's say you want to do like some, you're doing the standard because you have to do like some foundation issues, which may be, only air quotes, $10,000. You can use the standard for that. But also, you have a HUD consultant who's, let me just read to you what the HUD.gov says that a HUD consultant is supposed to do. The HUD consultant plays a guiding role through the rehabilitation process, acting as a liaison between the homeowner, contractors, and lenders. The consultant inspects the property and prepares a feasibility study, architectural exhibits, work write-ups, cost estimates, draw request inspections, and change orders, and ensures all the work is performed in compliance with the FHA requirements. So that's why it's kind of called the rehab loan and training wheels, because there's a guy or gal there to make sure the process is going smoothly as it should go. Insert the negative story from another one of my clients. So he was doing the standard, so he had the HUD consultant there to, in his idea, make sure everything was good to go, make sure the contractors were doing things according to specs, making sure the money that was being given out during the draw periods, not getting to that, was being given out appropriate. But he ended up losing like $50,000 because the whole entire process was messed up. Like the HUD consultant had no idea what he was doing in that scenario. So one suggestion I always have, whether you're doing a 203K loan or anything, is have somebody there that's going to inspect the inspector. One, it makes sure the person there is doing their job right. Now, it may be a couple $100, but this is the biggest financial decision of your life. And I think that's some reassurance that can help you with the process, especially if you're a new home buyer, have no idea how this process works. You can't just put all your eggs into the basket saying that this HUD consultant knows what they're doing, even though they probably do know what they're doing. But think about this, like on your job. There's obviously people that are good at their job, the people that are average, and the people that are just there to collect a check, and they're not going to do anything more than they're required. And so you may get one of those HUD consultants that are just kind of there to collect a check, and they're not going to, go above and beyond to make sure things are going right with the property, or they just may be like crappy at their job too. And in order to like find a HUD consultant, you can go on the HUD's website, and they list a number of HUD consultants. So you can actually go in there and research those HUD consultants as well that will be helping you through the renovation process. Speaking of those steps, here's the process of going through a 203K loan, which varies a little different than most loans. But first and foremost, you want to get pre-approved by a lender, because you're wasting your time and your realtor's time. You're just looking at homes and being like, I think I qualify for $450,000. So next, you want to get a team. So one, you want to get a realtor that's most likely knowledgeable in the renovation process, so they have an idea. They can look at a property and be like, hey, this is 450, but I think based on the comps in the neighborhood, we can get up to 480 with X number amount of repairs. And speaking of those repairs, another part of that team is your contractor, right? You don't want to wait to get a contractor till after you're under contract. You want to get a contractor, and once again, if your realtor has that relations, maybe you can get a contractor that'll send somebody out and be like, okay, if you really, really like this home, before you put an offer, they'll be like, okay, we got to do, the kitchen, the bathroom, that's going to cost probably about $45,000. But when it's all said and done, it's going to add another $85,000 in value to the property. So you want to have that team, which consists of a knowledgeable realtor and a contractor. Next, you want to find a home. You find a home and put an offer in on that property. And now, once you put an offer in on the property and it's accepted, you're going to present your lender with an itemized list of repairs. So depending on if you're using the standard or the limited, if you're using the standard, the HUD consultant will help with that itemized list and present it to the lender. When I say itemized list, it's like, okay, not, hey, we're going to need, I don't know, $40,000 in repairs in the kitchen. No, it's like, okay, the tile is going to cost this much. We're going to use 50 square foot of tile. We're going to, fix the faucets. This is what's going to cost for the plumbing. They're going to give an actual list of all the repairs. The lender's going to look at it and be like, okay, this makes sense, this makes sense, this makes sense, this makes sense, and give it the thumbs up, hopefully, and proceed with the approval process of the loan based on that loan amount plus the repairs. And there may be some back and forth in that process. That's why it's also very important to communicate with the person buying a home and how the FHA 203K process works. So they may see an FHA loan and be like, okay, 20 to 45 days is what normally happens with FHA loans. But no, with the 203K loan, it's going to be like 90 to 60 days for this process. Now that everything is ironed out with the lender, you close on the property and the seller gets their money. Now the journey still continues with you. So now that it's closed, you get to start the renovation process of the loan. So whether you have a HUD consultant or not, when the contractor is doing the work, they don't get the money all at once. So you have to have like a licensed contractor for this whole evolution. Only like 10% of the repairs can be done with like sweat equity. So the lender puts the money out in draws. So usually about 50% initially for the contractor to start the renovations and start the repairs. Then the lender comes out, inspects the property. The HUD consultant does as well. Then once again, they're the liaison with the lender. But the lender's like, okay, I've seen about 50% of work or whatever money they gave out in the draw. And then once that's done, they give out the next bit of money so that the contractor isn't just like running off with the money. So that's one of the other perks and one of the other reasons it's a rehab on training wheels, because you, the novice, may get taken advantage of, but the lender, who's probably $100 million, maybe $1 billion company, is not going to let the contractor take advantage of them because they're the one that's lending the money as well. And so hopefully, and it takes maybe 3 to 6 months for the repairs. Then there's one final inspection. The lender makes sure the property is habitable. Then you move into the property and live happily ever after. There you go. If you can hear the sound of my voice, drop a tool emoji or wrench so I know you watched the whole episode. And as always, buy land. Rumor has it they're not making any more of it.